Ready to skin some slavers? I know I'm ready for revenge.
Hello and welcome to session 23 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. We are currently in the island off of Fort Mage Satahuzi, and we are looking for this person who's tracking, can't remember the name, but Maia is delivered a message to somebody, and that person said that they were being spied on by somebody and we're looking for them. Before we get to that, though, I wanted to start reading from a new section of the guidebook. We read about all the churches of Eora in the last few sessions, and this time I want to start reading from the Advances in Animancy session. Animancy is extremely important in the world of Eora, and this game, all the games in general. I'm assuming it will also be pretty important in Avowed, because it has to do with the science of manipulating souls. And because souls are so prevalent and the idea of the reincarnation of souls and just everything around souls is so vital to how we understand this world. I think Animancy has a lot to do with that. So we are just going to, I think over the next few episodes, just going to be reading from this section here, which again is called Advances in Animancy. And we'll read the first two sections. The first one in big letters says Art and Industry. I'm assuming that means because the next few entries all have to do with art and industry. So this introduction says, the energy housed within the vibrant souls of Kith is an undisputed fact of life in Eora. Accessing and harnessing that energy makes for a risky endeavor, available only to the sharpest minds and most practiced hands. Adaran scholars discovered the means and possible application of soul manipulation hundreds of years ago, though they banned the practice on the grounds that it offended the gods. Colonial settlers in the Deerwood later brought Animancy to the forefront of public attention by exploiting the ruins of the ancient Ingwithans. This progressed the art to the point that modern animancers regularly accomplish what the Ingwithans may have only dreamed was possible. The presence of soul-channeling Audra and dormant machines of the Ingwithans augmented the studies of animancers 1,000-fold, opening the way for a renewed and enlightened understanding of their art and benefits that it could bring. With more Kith flocking to the Deadfire than ever before, the islands are poised to take the stage for Animancy's next and greatest innovations. So just kind of building up Animancy there, how even though Ingwithans seemed pretty versed in the art of soul manipulation, because later Kith found these ruins, they were able to advance the art even further. This next section is called Luminous Audra Research and Treatments. Luminous Audra is unique to the Deadfire. It's especially bright and especially capable of transporting souls and soul essence. The expansive capacity of Luminous Audra allows animancers to study previously unheard of volumes of soul energy. Outside of the Deadfire, where living Audra is dearly acquired, few allowances are made for trial and error. Luminous Audra opened the way for animancers to put the most modest samples through hundreds of rigorous tests and yield previously inaccessible results. By refining and distilling Luminous Audra into liquid form, animancers created a potent cure-all, restoring the vigor, health, and youthfulness of anyone who used it. The benefits go deeper than cosmetic or quality of life improvements, however. Animancers who studied the long-term effects of Luminous Audra judged that the souls of those exposed to it possess 10 times the vibrancy of ordinary Kith. It is still too early to appreciate the ramifications of these results, but animancers have wondered if more vibrant souls will have any effect, whether beneficial or deleterious, on Bareth's wheel in the cycle of reincarnation. When smoked in tobacco or a sveth pipe, Luminous Audra causes expressive visions and feelings of euphoria. Animancers caution that the substance should be taken with care and restraint, the predominant theory suggesting that recreational users are experiencing echoes of other people's past lives. The dangers of this method were not grasped until some of the earliest adopters began to exhibit strange behavior, such as conversing with invisible specters, losing touch with reality, and experience past life regression in real time. Otherwise sane and normal smokers took on the qualities of madness observed in the very old and troubled awakened Kith, whose awareness of past lives rose from the forefront of their minds, who found themselves ill-equipped to contend with the mental incursion of the spirit world. So here we see the power of Luminous Audra. even when it's smoked, as in a drug, because it seems to be so powerful at harnessing the powers of soul energy. When you smoke it, you could actually, it's almost like you were communing with souls, but it seemed like the people didn't really know that that's what was happening to them. Like they were like they were almost hallucinating or something, but it's suggested here that they weren't actually hallucinating, even though that may be how it seemed, and some people couldn't really even deal with that. All right, so moving on to Maya's quest here. Let's take a look. Her ears calling. So it's Tuaha, and she suspects that she's being followed. She won't accept the missive until the Stalker is dealt with. So we are looking for an average-looking Huana male, which is a lot of people here. And I explored this area over here, and I didn't see anybody that really fit that description. So I think I want to go back to Port Mage and see if we can find this average-looking Huana male. Not a helpful description at all. Shopkeepers, we spoke to them last time.
The Huana ought to keep to themselves.
I've
the
missed
next
this place.
visits.
Oh, not Thorol's porridge.
Survivor.
Lucky to have met you, friend. You're a real good soul.
Okay. Okay.
Fresh fish!
Craftsman, maybe?
What's
Waru?
You need something?
Waru Craftsman. An unassuming Amawa turns to you with a smile. Sniffing, Maya passes you a subtle nod.
That goes for you or your fetching friend.
He smiles at Maya, winking. Study him carefully. He possesses the warm tones of an island Amawa, calm eyes, and a minute scar on his upper lip. Your close scrutiny unnerves him, and he takes a cautious step back.
That's close enough.
He scratches his ear, glancing to the left and right. You almost missed it, but you spot a smudge of ink on his right thumb and index finger as he brings down his hand. He unconsciously pats a bulge in his pocket. Nodding to you, Maya makes it clear she noticed it as well. Can't help but notice the ink on your fingers.
Ah, this. I have been working late practicing my calligraphy.
Mimic's holding a quill.
Sure you have. And I keep a Shiza around for the fun of it.
Hearing his name, the bird perks up before resuming his regular patrol for bugs. He regards Maya's presence with a mixture of annoyance and curiosity, pressing his lips together.
I don't have time for these games. Be well.
Bluff here. He begins to leave with a sense of purpose, frowning to himself. Listen to me. You're being followed. He pales, glancing left and right with alarm.
No one told me to expect you. There are proper channels to discuss this.
Whisper lowers to an urgent hiss. You need to work on the cloak and dagger routine some more. His lips press together and his hand strays toward his weapon.
Who are you? Do not waste your lies.
His eyes move up and down over your body in a calculating manner. All that matters is that your mission is over.
And you have this one chance to decide if you want your retirement to be boring or interesting. I vote interesting.
Maya raises her brow and waits. Maya seems too eager to kill people. Something in Maya's tone hits him, and he regards her under a brow furrowed with deep disapproval.
Juana who conspire against their people. They are a blight on our future. You are more cancerous than any trading company.
He looks Maya up and down, shaking his head.
Tell us who sent you or I'll have the hide scoured from your back.
Maya grimaces, drawing her breath in a low hiss.
You are all coldness and hunger, the teachings of your tribe, the tradition. None of it lives on in you.
He begins to draw his weapon, his expression a mask of sorrow. She's trying to save your life, which is more than you're doing. Did I say that? I'm gonna say, wait, why are you doing this?
Rauatai knows of no future where we are left in peace. If you give comfort to traitors and spies, I cannot let you leave.
Nods, resolved. With a cry of battle on his lips, he lunges after you both. Damn it.
Stand together!
I love this guy that just walked over all the entrails of the person who just literally exploded. Just kind of mind his own business, just walk across them.
Indeed.
Okay. I didn't like the way that ended, but oh well.
Is he dead? Or must I handle everything myself?
You didn't see that? You don't have to worry about your tail any longer.
Is this so?
Tuaha blinks, saving any hope for when she hears it from Maia.
We took care of it, just like I said we would.
Winking, Maia holds out Atsura's missives. Tuaha snatches the papers away with a blur. Glancing over the page, Tuaha licks her thumb to turn each sheet. She nods, muttering under her breath.
Everything seems to be in order. I'll see to it that these are addressed in good time.
The edge of her mouth creeps up into a smile. What did Atsura send you?
I'm supposed to pass these down the line and into the next set of hands. More of what you've done here. That's discretion for you.
Tips her shoulder with a lopsided shrug. That doesn't exactly answer my question.
Doesn't it? That's all the answer I have.
Tuaha tips her head, studying you with genuine curiosity. Sorry, I tripped up there. This is a typo. It says Tuana, but it was actually Tuaha.
We should be going. It's been an absolute delight.
Maia clasps her hand, but Tuaha winces at the contact.
That's enough of that, soldier. Atsura will know your performance was adequate.
Pulls back, wiping down her palm.
And you, Watcher. Rauatai thanks you for your service.
Bows stiffly. Maia, we're discussing what happened here later.
Yeah, I thought we would.
Shrugging, Maia delivers a hard and meaningful salute to Tuaha, even as the other Rauatai turns, acting in every way a stranger.
I need to check in with Atsura. Mind if we take a detour to the Brass Citadel?
Putting in your mission, I take it?
Something like that. Atsura probably wants to make sure I'm not wasting too many resources on his little errand. Nothing to worry about.
Maia shrugs, gesturing to be off. Talk to her again.
I can tell that something's on your mind, and I owe you an explanation.
Maia nods, tipping up her chin and steeling herself.
Tuaha is eccentric, I know. Even in the Navy, I never knew what to make of her. You might be asking yourself why one of the tribals would be stalking her, and if that has anything to do with our little mission.
Mission. Interesting choice of words. Nodding, Maia sighs.
Atsura is doing important work in the Deadfire. He's bringing peace, order, bounty. Not everyone sees it that way, so he has to keep his intentions quiet.
I think Maia's more of a dupe here than an actual, an actual militaristic Royal Deadfire company. Like, she definitely believes in the company and everything, but it also seems like she just kind of takes their word for everything and believes them without being skeptical or questioning it. And so she just kind of repeats the jargon that they say to her.
I know the secrecy doesn't look good, but I can promise you that this is for a better Deadfire.
Our Stalker wasn't just some creep or thief, was he?
Probably not. Leave it to the Juana to distrust a lone Rauataian who knows her business. Doesn't surprise me that they'd want to keep an eye on outsider business, or get in the way of it.
Is there anything else you're not telling me?
Yes, of course there is, and plenty else besides. You think Atsura tells me everything? Whatever he has planned for the Deadfire, I'm only a small part of it. But I still need to protect my part.
Are you both spies?
If I pass information from one place to the next, does that make me a spy? I suppose it depends on what side of the fence you're on.
That's all for now.
For what it's worth, you're doing a great thing for the Deadfire. You'll see that someday.
Let's be off. Eh. Head to Breast Citadel next just to clear this up. And then, hey, maybe we can go speak to Arkemyr while we're there, while we're in Mikataka. I don't know why its camera has stopped following my ship. I don't get that. It's an option. Look for it right now. You might see a pause. It seemed to me like the option was set into the right place, so the smart camera was on, so I turned it off and back on, and yeah, didn't seem to do anything. Okay, where do I want to go again? Breast Citadel. Port to Atsura. I think that's the Fleet Master. And because I've hit the period button too to try and have it follow, but that didn't work either, so I don't know what's going on. Okay, so Wakoyo is not, or Atsura is not the Fleet Master. Maia scratches the back of her head.
This is where we part ways. For the moment.
What's going on, Maia?
Atsura will want me to report in alone. Sorry, it's company business. I might not be back for a few days on account of this.
Maia chews the inside of her cheek and reaches into her pack. She produces a sealed missive.
I'm supposed to handle this one alone. I won't ask you to come along or get involved.
First, it seems like she's looking down at Ishisa. In fact, Maia's looking down at her feet. Of Atsura's dirty work. I don't like it.
You don't have to like it, Captain. This is my job.
Maia shakes her head, scowling.
You've got Shodi to keep you company. You two play nice.
You stay safe, you hear, Ma? Come back in one piece.
Go have fun. Chase a god, save an island. Do what you do best, Captain.
Atsura, my regards, I guess. She nods to you, holding your gaze for an extra moment before she clicks her tongue to summon Ishisa. Or is it just... Oop. Just waiting now? Oh, it's done. Okay. It's not done. Courier's calling, it just disappeared. Oh, no, here it is. Says she'll be back in a few days. Okay. It follows when I am walking, but not when I'm on the boat. So go to the Luminous Bathhouse, rest so we can change up the party, and then we'll go visit Arkemyr.
My friend, you return. If you
Oops.
My friend, you return. If you require anything at all.
Well, let's bring in Seraphim.
You're here with me feeling all maroon-like.
Leveled up.
I guess I make as good a target as any.
Stealth, streetwise. Bloodthirst. Okay. Arkemyr's going to be really happy with us for sneaking into his house and stealing the Harapo Epic.
I trust you had no trouble finding the place.
Sighing, Arkemyr glances up from a roll of parchment. He takes up a quill and draws several lines across a calendar entry, digging the nib hard enough that scratching fills the silence.
Nekitaka is either a testament to the ancient Huana's love of labyrinths, or their hatred of straight lines.
He grimaces and rearranges several of the objects situated around his desk. Saying nothing?
Straight to the point, then. I warn you to stay your hand and treat with me better than you did poor Consulhot.
Pauses to study a reaction with interest. Consulhot, another archmage that we killed at the end of the... I think it was the last thing we did. No. It was the second to last thing we did in the first game as part of the White March expansion. Consulhot, we went to his tower and we ended up killing him. Consulhot didn't give me much of a choice. He was a lich who was just trying to extend his life. Can't remember exactly how he was doing that, but it was unsavory. Sighing, he wraps his knuckles in the top of his desk.
But let us get to the business of the hour, shall we?
He opens his palms. I'm surprised he didn't mention, because we met with another Mark Mage, I believe it was Lengrath. And her, we actually treated with peacefully. She had 2 bog dragons with her, but we were able to make peace with her. Lengrath was an interesting archmage in that she, I think, like, I'm remembering correctly, the soul of Lengrath was what was important, and Lengrath had taken many different forms over many years. So we just saw the most recent form, but that soul has been surviving, much like with Theos Ix Arcanin, but it seems like the passing of the soul is more deliberate than in Theos Ix Arcanin, where his body would die, move on to another one, and then it would awaken at some point. Lengrath seems a little different than that. I might be remembering that wrong, though.
My estate was recently burgled. My vault breached.
He sighs, drawing a sheaf of papers closer and then pushing them away. You know, I was the one who burgled it.
How very pleasing to hear an honest admission.
Probably knew anyway.
At the Circle's behest, I'm expected to show restraint in these dealings.
His nails dig into the armrest of his chair. A tearing sound fills the silence between you.
You manage not to rouse a peep out of my servants. If nothing else, the lack of disruption is appreciated. I am less pleased about the Harapo Epic resting in the hands of those who lost it once before.
You had no lawful right to it.
Did I ask a question?
Arkemyr glances to the left and right. He waits before continuing.
The Circle of Archmagi wishes for us to put this unpleasantness in the past with a gesture of good faith.
When he finishes his air quotes, his elbow knocks over an inkwell. Arkemyr simply glares at the spilled ink until it retreats back into its receptacle. Go on.
The Circle has expressed concerns about a certain mobile deity. The Deadfire is a fragile place, and a blundering soul drain like Aeldys can damage more than just castle keeps.
Deadfire will be lucky if any of his reefs into the long walk of his.
Indeed. It isn't our desire that you apprehend the deity. That simply isn't practical. We need your help in preparing for the worst possible outcome.
Arkemyr presses his thumb down on a spider crawling across his desk. His upper lip pulls back with delight.
Normally, the Circle's involvement constitutes the worst possible outcome. Or have you already forgotten the Blackwash Falls incident?
Aloth watches Arkemyr through narrowed eyes. Blackwash Falls incident.
Kalakoth replaced the water. What more do you desire? An apology?
Kalakoth is another archmage. Apparently at some point they drained water or just made water disappear from a place called Blackwash Falls, and they had to summon it back. I'm not sure what happened because of that. This isn't just restitution. The Circle is worried.
We do not worry. We measure, and the resulting value dictates action. You are only involved because it is advantageous for knowledge of the Circle's involvement to remain discreet. The wizard Bikana installed an observatory due northeast of Nekataka. For your absolution, the Circle asks that you locate her research.
Why ask me and not Bikana?
She vanished from academic research, and therefore her livelihood. All signs point to her lab being abandoned.
What are you hoping to learn from the stars?
That the Circle's concerns are utterly unfounded, of course.
His eyebrow arches up.
No doubt you'll recognize the appropriate documents. You have an eye for valuables.
I'm compensated for the work.
Were the spoils of my estate too meager? Absolutely not.
His brow furrows.
Fair warning. A vessel flying the sigil of the Torn Bannerman set a course for the observatory.
The Torn Bannermen are a company of mercenaries who are supposed to be elite, and they were the ones that were laying siege to Consul Hot's tower. We went through and decimated them, including the leader. I guess there's just this Torn Bannerman would just be another sect of them or something. Frowning, Arkemyr sifts among his correspondence until he sets upon the one he seeks.
I have every reason to believe they travel armed.
Yep, they're elite mercenaries. We faced off at the siege of Cragholt.
Did I inquire after your personal history?
Arkemyr sneezes into his sleeve and grimaces.
My interest begins and ends at a single point. That someone of great means desires abandoned arcane research. Research which we disregarded.
Clears his throat and glances away.
Come back alive. Or not at all. Now, if you don't mind, I have a manor to restore. And a security system to reevaluate.
He frowns toward the door before turning his focus back to his desk. Okay, so we got Karna's Folly. We need to go to the research station northeast of Nekataka to locate the research notes. Let's see. Got a skull, so put that on hold for now. And let's go talk to Aeldys. I want to speak to Captain Furrante. He is a slaver. Do want to speak to Aeldys at Fort Deadlight. So that's where we're going next.
swear.
No one's that bad at Orland Slap. And I've played against some real sorry folk.
Maybe I'm just the sorriest.
And the Fort Deadlight. Observatory is the place that just got added to our map. Hey, period worked. Okay.
You're the captain who Aeldys invited to parley, ain't you? I'm to keep an eye out.
Taps a finger beneath his one eye that isn't covered by a black patch.
It's so I can provide you an escort when you arrive.
Lead on.
Right this way, Captain. It's my pleasure to show our honoured guest around. Aye, it sure is.
You must be Captain. Glad you could make it, Lovesome.
Battle-hardened Captain rubs the underside of her chin, and she regards you pleasantly. Her mist-colored eyes, one raven-wing black and the other icy blue, rove up and down your face. This is Captain Aeldys.
Like what you see?
A golden swollenet gleams against the scarred skin of her chest. When you notice it, she flips it to reveal the mark of her status on the other side. Swollenets, again, are how Principe captains and, I think, officers recognize their rank. So when she wears that, she has a golden swollenet, which means she is very well respected amongst the Principe. As much as the Principe can respect anybody, that is.
The mark on this side, it means I'm the second highest rank on the Council of Captains. I'm but one chair below that cockrot Furrante.
He grins.
Now, I know I offered you a full parley, but I'm a pirate, which means I'm loyal to my crew. But otherwise, I lie whenever it benefits me. You killed my fourth chair, and a damn good friend. A part of me might be impressed, but a part of me wants to flay the skin from your face. Understand? If you've an explanation, I'd advise you to give it up real quick.
Despite the violence swirling about her words, she purses her lips, eager for your answer. You have a swollenet. We had a dispute between pirates.
So you settled it, as pirates do. Suppose I can't fault you for that. Still.
The lashes lower over her blue and black eyes, fanning like dark feathers atop her cheeks.
You cut off my right hand. How do you plan to replace it?
Fair, I'll give her 250 copper. I hear silver makes for a shiny hook.
He said you had a smart mouth. But I suppose this'll quell my anger. For a time.
She weighs a patch of coins in her hand before tucking it between her breasts. To make room, she removes a hidden knife. It gleams golden in the light before disappearing into a concealed sheath up her sleeve.
Now that we've got that out of the way, I'll admit, I really like you, Captain. You got guts, and not just smattered in your hair. I'd like to make you a deal. Well, I was planning to offer you a deal, Lovesome. A partnership between two right unstoppable captains. By which I'm referring to me and you. But it would seem you've gone and killed Mad Morena now, one of the captains most loyal to me and a seat holder on the council. I do regret your choices, namely because they make life difficult for me.
She fingers the swollen at her throat and sighs.
Perhaps we can still work something out in the future. I know you've met with Furrante, that you may even be working for him. That pribbling cockrot.
With a flick of her fingers, the captain swipes a goblet of godkiller rum off her desk. She takes a long swig before pointing at you.
But that doesn't mean you can't partner with me instead. Don't do anything to let him catch on. Just keep me appraised of certain future events as they shape up. I'm
going to spy for you.
How clever you are.
She waggles her brows cheekily over her miscolored eyes.
No need to commit to it now. You just think on it the next time you're toiling for a man who'd happily gut you. After you've done his bidding, given half the chance. When the time's right, we'll set our strategy. But what can I do, you lovesome?
About Furrante.
Got something for me, Dove?
She leans forward with interest, the corner of her lips curving wickedly.
I'm all ears.
It was Furrante who told me where to find Benwith.
I figured as much. That's how Furrante gained his political standing. And that's how he keeps it. With underhanded tactics that whittle his opponents into ruin. Me? I prefer to face my foes head on. Give them the chance to join me before I fucking annihilate them.
The captain's miscolored eyes alight with mischief.
And I like to reward those who support me. I'm good to my allies, you see. For your troubles, Dove, let me share with you a little of my treasure.
Furrante's interest in Crookspur's slave trade involves the Valian Trading Company.
Well, well, ain't that a fine thing to know? Makes sense for certain.
Her eyes narrow.
Aiding the slavers is small fry for a captain like Furrante. It wouldn't pay well enough to be worth the investment. If you've evidence of his involvement, keep it close. We may be able to use it to our benefit later. Oh, aye, you've brought me a juicy tidbit this time. Now I'll be after it like a shark on a blood trail.
Pleased expression, she tosses you a small sack of coins. Let's discuss this another time.
As you wish, Dove. I am happily and wholeheartedly at your disposal. At least until I get bored.
Tell me about the new blood in the Principe.
We're the future, and we ain't going nowhere.
So she's this new blood. And there's a kind of conflict between the new blood and the old blood, as it were.
We're pirates, lovesome. We own this sea, and the sea loves us back in her twisted way. Furrante pines for a homeland he's never seen. But what does Old Valia mean to me or my crew? We're not Valian, and we never will be. Though if you're Valian and you want to join our bloodline, you're more than welcome.
Weren't you founded by refugees from Old Valia?
Generations ago. And I grew like a weed in the deerwood, you see? You say Consueglo me casitas. I say Council of Captains. You say Principe. I say best pirates in the Deadfire. You say Swollenet. I say, well, some things stay the same.
She flicks the gold coin and laughs heartily. So, what sort of things do you like to do in your leisure time?
What? Like, for hobbies?
Her eyebrows dance up to her hairline as she laughs loudly.
When I'm not out plundering the seas, I'm right here ruling my fleet. Suppose I like a good bit of target practice. And of course, who doesn't like rum and a hot bath? Don't guess you like the same?
I hate shooting, drinking, and being clean. I don't know if that was sarcasm or not. In my headcanon, it was sarcasm. She narrows her eyes, unsure whether or not to laugh, but when a wicked grin spreads across her face and she wets her lips, gaze locked with yours as she takes a long drink from a goblet of rum.
Perhaps I can show you the beneficial qualities of each later.
Farewell. Okay, so, Furrante we have to go see for quite a few reasons, actually. Now we are spying on him. The person, Director Castle from the Valian Trading Company, wanted to go to the slaver port in Crookspur to deal with Master Kua. That was because he was hired by Captain Furrante to... Oh wait, Captain Furrante was hired by Director Castle to take care of the problem facing Castle's business interests in Crookspur. When I spoke with Furrante at Dunnage, he offered me the job in exchange for further reward from the Principe. And that's a slave report. Which mean, and I'm pretty sure when we did Seraphin's quest, we found that Furrante was in league with slavers. Seraphin did not know that at the time. See if I can find that quest. Sorcerer and a gentleman? Yeah. So that was Bastion of the Sorcerer had been selling the slaves they rescued. So maybe it wasn't Furrante. But it seems like he's involved with slaving anyway. Same with the Valiant Trading Company. So yeah. Let's where should we go first? Let's do the one for the Valiant Trading Company. Of like minds. Captain Furrante wants to earn the loyalty of the slavers of Crookspur. Their allegiance will help Furrante bolster his own position and benefit Director Castell's plans for the Deadfire in the long term. Now, normally I would just want to go in there and kill them because of their slaving activities, but now that we're working with Aeldys, it might actually be better because she wants us to spy on him, and if we have some kind of proof, then she might be able to disrupt that even more. Maybe I'll go and upgrade some of my weapons. I won't show you all this, but so you know. Okay, so I did some of that. Time to go to Dunnage now. So there is... I thought it was going around the storm, but I guess when you just choose to travel someplace without taking control, then it'll go through any storm that's in your way. But it seemed to be on the outskirt here. Oh well. Heavy clouds darken the horizon. Clouds gather in the distance, a hazy curtain of rain hanging from them. Maia appears at the storm. Nothing more than a squall, Captain. Shouldn't be much of a threat to sail through. Your crew looks to you. Your orders? Asking companions' aid. Seraphin, gonna need you by my side here. Yorlin grins. Aye, Cap. I'll be letting you know if you do anything too hollow-headed. You could use a sermon, Shody, if you're inclined to give them comfort. You want me to pray to an aspect of death? Shody's lips quirk in amusement. Suppose I can plead for the safe passage of our souls through hell, should we all perish shortly. After a nod, she bows her head. We gained 10 morale from that and 5 from talking to Seraphin. Glory be to the many aspects of Aethys, greatest of all who is gone. I raise my voice to you in humility, thankfulness, and everlasting worship. Hear me, my God, and take pity on my dire plea. As we now sail through the dark storms of death, we will not fear the reaping to come, for your lantern will guide our way. We will not stumble or stray from the path you have laid upon us through hell. We will embrace the end of our lives and shuck the rotting husk of our fallen bodies. After whence we will be planted for rebirth by your hand, forever and always, as the wheel turns. Amen. Assign crew duties. The crew look to you for guidance. I'm going to give Baedel a rope and grapple hook to lash himself to the wheel so he doesn't go overboard. With a grimace, Baedel accepts the rope and begins looping it through the spokes of the wheel in his own belt. Hand out the last of the cooked food, Arena, and then put out any fires in the galley. Arena salutes. Understood, Captain. The crew will be glad to have a warm meal before we dive into this mess. Assign deckhand duties. All hands get below decks and secure the cargo. The crew lash down everything that can be tied to something. This decreases likelihood of crew injury and hull damage in rough seas. Reef the sails. Dramatically improves the ship's handling in heavy winds. Let's just secure the cargo. With the chorus of affirmatives, the crew disappears below decks. You turn from the crew. We're as prepared as we're going to get. Take us in. The clouds sweep over you, dominating the sky and hemming the sea beneath a roiling gray dome. The rain drums against the deck. Sweat beads on Beadle's brow as the storm looms ever closer. We can't outrun this one, Captain. The wind calms, but rain pours from the sky as if Aston Min had come to rest beneath a waterfall. That is, my ship. Rainwater sloshes across the deck and under the rails. And a hull means the most passive tactic against storm. The crew strikes the sails and goes below decks before securing all the hatches. It protects the crew and the mast, but leaves the ship drifting at the mercy of the sea. The ship may roll into particularly rough seas. All hands to the post. We're holding course. The crew remains at stations and attempt to sail as normal. We're heaving to. The sails and rudder are lashed into place, set to balance one another out, and the crew goes below decks. This protects the crew and helps the ship make good time, but puts the mast and sails at risk. Let's do that one. Oh wait, what's flying bare poles? The sails are struck, and the crew goes below decks, save for the helmsmen who remain at the wheel. The ship relies on the wind against the mast for propulsion, often achieving great speed. This protects the crew and sails, but can be dangerous to the hull, and risks the helmsman. Let's do the heaving too. That's the one where we lash everything into place, set it to balance, and then we go below decks. It protects the crew and helps the ship make good time, but it puts the mast and sails at risk. And I think everything is at full health, so we should be okay, hopefully. Maia shouts orders to the hands to knot the ropes around the ship's wheel. When the ship is set to sail as best it can without a guiding hand, you join the others below decks. Guided only by the storm and still rudder, Aston Min crashes through the waves. A rough remedy to the crew crowded below decks. Success. The storm rages on, showing no sign of subsiding. The crew is dehydrated. Damn. Where are we now? 75. Right. Switches board. We are being attacked by Rafik the Redbeard, 11th level rogue, who is... I don't know what this flag is here. A ship on fire. Use a bunch of summons here.
This is futile! I'm sorry.
That was a mistake on their part. So this is... Oh, it's just his own colors. These are the personal colors of the greedy and tenacious Rafik Redbeard. Though he survived mutiny and brutal blood sport, he found only demise in the Deadfire. I wonder if that was a bounty that we had. I'm going to share coins with the crew, up their morale a little bit. Take all and continue. It was a bounty, then we don't have that quest yet. But I also said that they were dehydrated, so Dunnage. Maia has returned to join your crew. How'd she get here? Forget where we have to go to do this. Think Balefire Beacon? Or is it? No, not the Radiant Court. Let's go to Balefire. I think I didn't even mean to come here. We should have spoken to Atsura. It says clearing out Crookspur. Let's just go see what Furrante has to say here.
I hear you.
Ah, Watcher. Good. You have arrived.
Chin jutting upward, he grants you a winsome smile. His left cheek dimples at as the smile spreads to show teeth.
Ahoy there yourself, Captain. What do I be but a pretty bit of man meat to dangle from a wrist? As easily forgotten as set aside.
Arms akimbo and head askance, Seraphin smirks. Furrante rubs his thumb over the golden swollenette, violent thoughts gliding over his face like dark clouds. Then he smiles, but it's a vicious expression more than a pleasant one.
A little seabird informs me that you have dealt with our mutual problem, the scoundrel Benoit.
His eyes glint as a fierce grin cuts across his face, and his lone dimple deepens.
I hear you have a flair for the dramatic, or should I say, explosive antics? A magnificent way to settle one's disputes indeed. And you truly left Benoit's reputation in pieces. Gelarde, for this you have my grandest commendation.
You'd have been right amused, you would. Few sights as fine as that hard-blowing three-sheeter getting what's long been due him.
Hands on his hips, Seraphin juts his chest forward, blue fur expanding like a bird's plumage. Plumage?
You are lacking in so many ways, my former ship hunter, but no one can say you are not entertaining. I myself would have enjoyed watching you put the scoundrel in his place.
I didn't bother with Benoit just for your praise.
No, as my memory serves me, you did not.
A flare of anger sharpens his smile and burns darker the color of his eyes.
And as promised, I have prepared for you a fine prize.
The sweep of his arm, he offers you a magnificent cloak. It's a cloak of protection, which I think we already have some of those.
However, there is another matter of which we must now speak. I must confess to you a bit of a problem has arisen. One which speaks to your expertise with the supernatural. We've sighted the floating hangman that haunts the Deadfire.
A ghastly and rotting ship that haunts the Deadfire, manned by an undead crew, this vessel rumored to becalm the seas, and sails veiled with an unnatural fog. That's the floating hangman. Ghost ship. Do elaborate. His lips thin, pressed taut, as he half shrugs one shoulder, infuriatingly non-committal.
This galleon, what likely remains of the Fonferros, is a frightful legend.
Fonferros is, meaning iron strength. The Fonferros is a Grandvalian galleon that Darkosi paladin Lucia Riven used to flee the burning palace when charged to protect the royal family's sword.
We have been losing ships at sea, Amico, and not to those Valera ship-hunting bastards. I believe the floating hangman may be our culprit. Fortune favors us, as I have procured a survivor from such a recent sinking. You will consider what she has to say.
Head craning abruptly to the side, he barks a loud order.
Come forth, Selenia. Quickly now, or I will run rivers of your lethargic blood.
At the last, he smiles. Sun-blistered and raw-boned, the pirate regards you both with a discerning glare. She tongues a clapped bottom lip, but keeps quiet.
Well, spit it out, Selenia, and try not to embarrass me before our guest.
In that last section, I don't know how important this is. I said it was a clapped bottom lip, but it was a chapped bottom lip.
Of course, Captain. It might have pretty hard near the end, but I spit the tale as best as I can.
The pirate touches a spot at the base of her skull and winces. She glances off to the side, eyes black and full of hurt. Furrante sighs and rubs tiredly between his brows.
Go on, gent. I'm ready as I'm like to get me.
With a shiver, the pirate turns her black button eyes to you. I'll try not to press you to remember more than we absolutely need.
You aren't quite what I expected, Watcher. You're
She wets her lips.
kinder than most.
Selenia pointedly avoids Furrante's gaze, a grimy hand scrubbing at her mouth.
Saw my old crew slaughtered me, my best mates, and even a few I hated. They weren't but blood and meat in the end. It branded the back of my eyes that moment. High seas, nothing but blue all around. Then, mist so thick you could taste it. Ships sailed from within. Out of nowhere. Was a hunt, not for loot, but for bodies. The ship, it looked...
She gropes at her hip, but there's nothing there. Fingers fumbling at the air, she bares her teeth.
Rotted. The crew, they were all undead. Couldn't stop them from boarding. Couldn't kill them. Couldn't even fight them in the end.
How'd you survive the attack?
Calling me craven? Huh, sure, I am.
She snorts. She rubs at the back of her head, rough, like she needs it to hurt.
Took a knock-in and I was out for a while. When I came to, they were eating Ganasco, our steward. I dropped a dinghy and rode for it. Don't know why they didn't give chase. Don't much care me.
When did this happen? She ruffles a hand through her short hair, scowls.
Dunno me. Drifted for days, maybe longer. Kept winking in and out after I ran out of drink.
One of mine found her no more than a week ago. Malnourished, dehydrated. The poor girl was scarcely able to speak.
Well, I'm more than able to gabble now, aren't I? Could sail, too. No, you got no reason to keep me.
She flits her hands over the softness of her shirt. Again, her fingers hesitate close to her hip, fabric crinkled there, where a pistol might normally be strapped. That's my perception. A muscle ticks in Furrante's jaw, but he otherwise ignores her.
Perhaps there is something else you wish to ask of our guest before she departs from us.
You gonna ever killed? How are you taken by surprise on the open sea?
Me and my crew were adept. Alert. Always. No. Weren't no one gonna get the jump on us. Was some magic foul. Just sudden like, the winds died, the waters fell flat and the air got heavy. They turned sky and the sea both against us. Then this thick fog roiled up at midday. Without a sound, the Spectre ship
She glides her hand in the air.
skimmed right out. It was too late. We couldn't outsail it.
Tell me about them. The undead. I just want to read what she said again. So the fog comes in and surprises. Okay.
They were dreadful. Some were clothed, like maybe they'd only recently died. Others weren't more than moving bones. One was different. Her presence was overwhelming. Heavy. Flames burned in the place of her eyes.
Death Knight?
The crew shambled hard to do her bidding, even the ones who seemed hardly aware. Figured she was the captain, me.
She shrugs, gaze going far away.
There is a flag the floating hangman flies. A flag that once heralded the Fonferus of Old Valia. It belonged to a Darkotsi paladin of some legend, one Lucia Rivan.
You already read that tooltip there. Darkotsi is the Darkotsi family was a royal lineage of Grand Valia. The Darkotsi Paladini were formed to guard the crowned family and its place circa 800 AI. Though both Paladini and family were scattered during the collapse of Grand Valia, even 2 centuries later, each still possessed to a less sovereign but impressively affluent means.
But Selenia's knowledge is limited in this regard. Let us instead ask her of a subject she may know.
That'll be all. Selenia cuts a glance to Furrante for confirmation. When he dismissively waves her away, her black eye narrows and she raises her chin, defiant. But then he turns his full gaze to her, suddenly seething, and she shrinks in on herself. Fists shaking at her sides, she reluctantly retreats. I wonder if we can hire her. I feel like if we leave her here, Ferrante's going to kill her.
She belongs to Aeldys, who undoubtedly will come to claim her soon. But that is a problem for another time.
Oh. So this is not one of Ferrante's men. Aeldys' men.
One moment, Watcher.
The captain scowls at Selenia's retreating back, a dark anger warming his cheek. Wait for the captain to speak.
Allow me to cut to the heart of it. Lucia Rivan, whose flag flies atop our spectral ship, was a Darkotsi paladin who died more than 200 years ago. It is my hope that uncovering the details regarding dear Rivan's fate in life may illuminate the nature of her undeath and how to defeat her galleon. Unfortunately, the only soul who could possibly shine more light on our situation lies buried deep within Neketaka. One Isir the Berethian, now well rotted, I presume.
Huh. So he was in the hanging sepulchres underneath the Church of Bereth in Neketaka, and we have spoken with him. I've actually spoken with Isir. His brows hoist high up on his forehead.
Meaning what, by that last? You were able to read his soul, despite how much time has passed?
They say the dead tell no tales, but Isir was quite talkative.
You're trepanning me. Must be.
But he shakes his head as if he's already accepted the truth of your words.
Well, amico, I must ask that you enlighten me.
I said Death Knight, it's Death Guard. Isir had become a Death Guard. We exchanged words.
A Death Guard? How fascinating. And terrible. I must, of course, presume that you've unearthed a promising lead for us. Perhaps you were able to learn about Rivan's whereabouts, of where her spectral ship oft anchors?
Not yet. I need more time. A harsh exhale escapes from between the captain's gritted teeth. Well-manicured fingers dig at the corner of his downturned mouth, bruising in intensity. Composing himself, he smooths the ruffled lace of his collar.
I do not fancy the frittering of time, Watcher. I would advise you to leave me if you feel you are ill-prepared for the business at hand.
What can you tell me about the slavers and the Deadfire? A breath hisses from between his teeth.
Shh, amico, please. I must ask you to guard your tongue. We do not condone slavery within the Principe.
He gives you a pointed look.
But I can tell you, their legal operations are based on the island of Crookspur. If you're hunting for slavers, I suggest you look there. What weighs on your mind in this moment, Casita?
Farewell.
More is the pity.
Okay. So I guess I did have information. Let me see if it says anything here. I feel like I want to tell all these before I tell Furrante anything more. It's a slaver.
Yeah.
Darn. There actually are some enslaved people that we will be fighting here. Oh well. Not much we can do about that now.
Death is the true atonement.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even look at the things that we picked up there. Triumph of Rafik. So Rafik must be a bounty, but we did not get anything from that last one, so that was just a random slaver. While we're down here, why don't we map down south, back to Fort, and head back to Nekataka to Brass Citadel to talk to Atsura. This is time to go back up here. And yes, we have. Make sure well-weathered Corneo isn't a bounty. Nope. What is this? A lot of different places to go on this island, and I wonder if this is a DLC area. I don't want to go here yet. Oh, no. Party management. I don't think we can add notes. That's unfortunate. Time to head to Nekataka. You hear two crew members arguing on the deck. An argument from the deck pulls your attention away from the gentle rocking of the ship and the smooth expanse of blue on the horizon. Half of those fish were floating belly up, cries Baltia. Better we throw the whole catch than end up with rot-bellied crew. They looked alive enough when we hauled them out. Stupak retorts, gesturing violently at the pile of fish on the deck. Fish die when you pull them out of water. That's what fish do. I'm going to check the fish for signs of disease. Let's see what Adair says. Oh, nice. There are no signs of discoloration, open sores, or bloated bellies. The fish appear perfectly healthy. Told you it wasn't dangerous. Tupek floats, arms akimbo. The fish go back in the sea. I won't risk the crew's health. The wisest course, Captain. Baltia nods happily. The two hands dump the barrel overboard, returning the fish to the sea. Adair said they were healthy, but we have enough. We don't need to. Put the crew at risk. A fog rolls in. Uh-oh. Out of nowhere, a heavy fog rolls over the ocean, so dense that you cannot see more than a dozen feet out from your ship. With the fog's arrival, the winds die, the waves calm, and Aston Min is left aimlessly drifting, the only sound those of the hull groaning as if in dread of what's to come. Eerie green lights pierce through the fog as the silhouette of a massive galleon approaches. Black sails, though tattered and rotting, catch an otherworldly wind, slicing the ship forward at a rapid pace. The captain, a skeleton outfitted in tarnished armor with glowering eyes, surveys you from the quarter-deck of the decaying galleon. She wraps two fleshless fingers against her chest before pointing right at you. This is the floating hangman. What the goddess of death has marked, I will leave untouched. Talking about how Bareth has marked us. She nods solemnly, once, then with a tilt of her skull steers the ship away. As the floating hangman turns, several undead sailors shamble across the deck, hungry for a look at your crew. They scratch at the chipped and rotted railing, heads rolling on their exposed spines. The ship disappears back into the fog. A few minutes pass before the fog fully dissipates, and the winds pick back up, rustling your sails. The sea is clear, empty. The other ship is nowhere to be found. I think it's Imperial Command lowers where I can find Atsura. You know what? Darn.
Sending for the gun hawks. I saw one shoot once. Hit a lurch shark in the eye from 200 feet away.
I want to have Maia with me for this. Can I just change my party here? I don't think so. I guess I'll go to the Wild Mare. I'll cut this out. It's just going to be traveling. So I went to the Wild Mare, picked up Maia. Shodi, there was some banter about whether or not Shodi was included in the report, and Shodi seemed kind of flattered that she was. But on our way back to the Brass Citadel, we got an encounter here, so I wanted to resume the recording. A crowd congests the tunnel in front of you. A confusing network of natural and kith-hewn tunnels run between the Brass Citadel and the Gullet. Most of the larger thoroughfares are well-traveled and familiar, but the narrower branches that spread from them are a confusing muddle of twisting halls and dead ends. A tunnel along your path has collapsed. A giant rock is its new immovable door. Laborers mill about it, but there seems little actual labor occurring. You might be able to find another way through the city, but the detour could take hours. See if we can find a route around the collapse. I feel like Seraphin is our streetwise one. Yeah. I don't think Adair will be able to do this, but he's our best bet. Yeah. Adair promises a nearby shortcut, and you leave the workers to their unenviable task. Unfortunately, Nekataka's tangled tunnels, streets, and alleys prove more than a match for Adair or yourself, and you waste hours meandering the city. 8 hours pass. Eventually, you make your way back into the wide, well-traveled thoroughfare, and from there, on to your destination. It's a detour. Before we speak to Atsura, let's speak to Maia.
So, we're back. Did you miss us?
Maia smiles a little, the side of her mouth twitching, as Shisa offers a friendly squawk. Of course I missed you, Maia.
Well, thanks. It was just me and the bird for a couple of days, and we're sick to death of each other.
Something happened out there, and it's got me all turned around.
Maia fixes her attention on a distant point. Speak your mind.
I didn't exactly deliver a missive. That parchment was meant for me, and I delayed opening it as long as I could.
She folds her arms.
Atsura gave me a name and a location. That was all. When you're a sharpshooter by trade and your boss doesn't offer clarification, you learn to arrive at your own conclusions.
Don't tell me you shot someone.
I can already see this is going to go well.
The rub of it is, my target wasn't some ship's captain or an ogre swinging a fence post. He was the Ranga of a Huana tribe.
She raises her brow and studies you for any reaction. Wonder if she's still convinced that the Rail Deadfire Company wants peace after getting tasked with murdering a Ranga of the Huana tribe. Why don't you start from the beginning? Nodding to you, Maia shrugs away some tension that you hadn't noticed before.
The village was beachside. No sign of foreign occupation. I might have been the first outsider to make land in quite a while. They were just simple folk going about their lives. Couldn't have been more than 50 of them. Their Ranga, though? He had a voice that carried, that echoed in the hearts of his people.
Her eyes narrow as she concentrates on a far-off point. What did he speak about?
He called for unity with the neighboring tribes, the setting aside of bad blood. His people listened, and listened well.
So it seems like she was tasked with killing this person just because they can command respect.
He was my target. You can guess what happened next.
Maia shrugs, squeezing her forearms to release some tension. Tell me anyway.
I picked a spot and a time of day. Morning, west-facing, plenty of tree cover. The light was in my favor. The winds were low. He left his hut, mussed his kid's hair, and set off for the beach on the other side of the island, checking lobster traps. Ishi followed him overhead, and I followed him with my sights, holding my breath, waiting for the right moment. And then I stopped. I pictured all those captains I'd riddled with holes and wondered, is this how we treat civilians? Is this how wars are won?
Go on.
I shot him in the back of the head. He was a corpse before he hit the ground.
She opens her fingers like a flower blooming. Jody likes that? Because she's worldly? I would not understand that.
It took a while for his kin to find him, but only seconds to figure out that he didn't die of a weak heart.
She chews her bottom lip and glances towards Ashisa. What happened next?
This tribe surprised me. They acted like I kicked over their anthill. They got mad. They got to work. The old Ranga went onto a pyre, and the new one snapped into place. She took up the call for unity while the embers were still warm.
Maia shakes her head, grinning a little.
Acted like I hadn't just killed her boss for doing the same thing.
Doesn't sound like your mission was a success.
I completed my mission. I leave Atsura to worry about whether or not it was a success.
Sighing to herself, Maia tugs at her hair bun, worrying a loose lock.
If you don't mind, I need to let this brew in my head for a while and see what bubbles up. Thanks for letting me unload in the meantime. We should talk to Atsura. He'll want to know that I've done as he asked.
Let's be off.
I get along fine with him. He's straightforward to me.
So we have to go to Atsura for a few reasons, so let's go there now. Atsura folds his hands and cocks his head, watching you like an especially thoughtful bird of prey. He waits several seconds before speaking.
I must thank you most humbly for your help. You've rendered Okaya and all of us a great service.
Is anyone going to tell me what our people were working on?
In time. But I called you here to discuss another matter.
His eyes flash, and an eager smile creeps across his face.
A great injustice plagues the archipelago, and we have an opportunity to end it. A thriving slave trade disrupts the Deadfire. I've determined that it's being run from the island known as Crookspur.
You must have known this for a while. He considers his answer, canting his head to one side.
It is not news to us. But action without proper planning is as bad as inaction.
Guess I can agree with that. I mean, we didn't immediately go after Crookspur as soon as we knew slavers were there. We will, but we didn't immediately do it.
Slavers sow chaos wherever they ply their unsavory business. They uproot communities, disrupt trade, and attract the vilest criminals. Unfortunately, they've been allowed to operate here for years.
What do you mean by allowed? He glances at you through hooded eyes, a sneaky grin playing at his lips. He quickly suppresses it.
Why, if the Juana had marshaled their forces, the slaver problem never would have reached this extent.
Everyone's always so keen to blame another faction. He spreads his hands in an innocuous gesture, as though this should be obvious.
That it has is a failure we must lay at the feet of the Kahanga royals.
How do you figure that?
Allow me to illustrate.
He brings his hands together and clears his throat.
2,000 years ago, our people began the conquest of Rawatai. The land was new to us. Many of its inhabitants were better equipped.
He tenses his fingers and raises his eyebrows.
But we overcame them. We were unified where they were scattered. And we were not content to huddle in cliff caves and subsist. We were determined to make a better life for ourselves.
Sounds like you stole land and livelihood from a lot of people.
Were we less deserving of these things simply because we arrived later?
A hint of anger flares in his voice and flashes in his eyes.
Besides, the country we built was stronger, with roads, irrigation, and weather guards. For us, as well as the people, we organized.
Very imperialistic of you. He blinks, quickly collecting himself, and forges ahead.
I am merely pointing out that it is difficult for fragmented, transient tribes to maintain control over their territory.
He steals another quick glance at you. This is a very common thing for imperialistic nations, how after they kind of conquer a land, they will try to convince, other people and themselves that it was for their people's good. We see that happen in the real world, and we're seeing it happen here.
Is it not noble and just to end this scourge, especially if the Juana cannot? We must end the slaver threat.
He searches your face for agreement. So it seems like he told us that little bit of history as a way to justify the Juana, what he's saying about how it's the Juana's fault that these slavers exist. And while I can empathize with him and his desire to end the slavery practice, it I don't think I can empathize with him on the conquering of tribes and his assertion that tribes can't... What was the words he used? Transient tribes to maintain control over their territory. Like, that's everything. Just because they're transient tribes, they can't control their territory, so it's like they deserve to get taken over. You're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart. What's your angle? He cocks his head and considers his answer. Finally, he nods.
Rauatai has interests in a stable Deadfire, and in earning the favor of our Juana brethren. The slavers threaten both goals.
He pauses and watches you, placid and unblinking. When he seems satisfied he's answered your question, he continues.
Go to the slaver outpost on Crookspur and kill Master Kua, the ringleader. His associates should scatter.
He marks a spot on your map and looks back up to you, doing the same thing for us as he did with Maia. Although this person seems like he deserves death more than Maia's target does, but...
As much as I would like to send our forces to fight the good fight alongside you, I'm afraid that would only cause trouble in other quarters.
He sighs dramatically. We're almost being used as, like, I think the term is sleeper agent. Like, all these factions want us to do their dirty work so it doesn't seem like they're actually doing anything because we're the one that are taking action.
Especially since some of the slavers operate legally and with the blessing of certain Valian officials.
He tilts his head toward you and gives you a knowing look.
However, I have it on good authority that the slavers have made enemies of the Wahaki. They may be willing to help you.
We have to go see them anyway because Queen Onakaza wanted us to go see them. Aloth catches your eye with a meaningful look.
If they don't take your head off first.
He shrugs, suggesting that this is only a tiny inconvenience.
The Wahaki congregate on an island called Ori Okoiki. It means cursed land of corpses.
His mouth twists in a sardonic grin as he marks your map.
They are suspicious of outsiders, so approach them with caution, if at all. What's important is that you rid us of the slavers on Crookspur.
I do this, I do it my way.
Far be it from me to tell you otherwise.
He takes a tiny step back and measures you with his gaze.
Now, what else can I do for you?
Maia has business with you.
Indeed. I hope we return victorious.
He turns to her with a bold, almost confrontational stare, a look that seems to mirror her own.
It's done in any case. I'll leave you to decide what victory means.
Atsura, care to explain what you've been up to?
Maia has been assisting with plans to work toward peace in some of the more tumultuous parts of Deadfire.
According to Maia, this was not a tumultuous part of the Deadfire. He raises his eyebrows, looking back to her.
Oh, peace to some.
She is starting to question it, at least.
Peace to all. One day.
He stares her down with a challenge in his eyes.
I'm certain Harama would agree. He's well, after all, thanks to your decisive action.
He cocks his head.
Tuaha reports success and sends her thanks for your swift intervention. You have aided your countrymen with distinction. There is no higher honor to which a trencher may ascribe.
He tilts his head toward her, emphasizing his words. A trencher is a friendly term Rauataians use to refer to one another, a reference to the omnipresent trenches Rauataians have built to irrigate their soil and protect their homes from stormwater.
But what of your own assignment?
You sent Maia to kill a man. He shifts his gaze to you.
For a most noble cause, I assure you.
He looks pained.
You've always been self-sufficient and resolute in purpose, Maia. It surprises me that you should discuss your orders so freely.
Cargo shifts on long journeys no matter how tightly you tie it down, sir.
Maia glances your way and nods.
At ease. When it comes down to it, I know you will always do what must be done.
He pauses, fixing her with a strange, unwavering gaze.
Rauatai values your service, as do I. And I can think of no better reward for the rough country's finest sharpshooter than a piece such as this.
He reaches below his desk for an arquebus, which he presents to her with stiff formality. Got 3 bells through. It is a inaccurate, superb arquebus. +1 armor penetration. Reduces base damage, attacks in a line, so it can actually veer off and, well, not veer off, it can just shoot through people and hit more than one target. This arquebus was the personal tool of Devio Fortunito, a Valiant gun for hire. It utilizes a powerful black rune powder blend and fires conical slugs through a spiral-threaded barrel. The gun is unmatched in range and penetrative power. Devio used it to great effect over his bloody career. His most noteworthy act of marksmanship took place at the funeral of Agati Salagna, a minor functionary of the Valiant Shipwrights Guild. The guildsman, though 2 days dead by Devio's hands no less, drew quite a crowd to his intermittent service. Throngs of mourners filled the chapel of Bareth in the gardens of Revua. Among the crowd was none other than Traria Salanya, the head of the Salanya clan, and brazenly corrupt bureaucrat. She was Devio's target. Devio, perched atop the nearby ducal mausoleum, was annoyed to find his sightline to Traria obstructed by the chapel bells. While it complicated the shot, it would not save Traria. Devio took aim and fired. The slug punched through the 3 brass bells, sounding a chime that drowned out the gun's report. The crowd, startled by the sudden cacophony, watched in horror as the Salanya matriarch fell dead, shot cleanly through the heart.
I won't keep you. I know you both have plenty of business to attend to.
Oh, I can't question them any further. It's annoying. Okay, so we're done with Maia's quest. So I think that means the only character quest we have left is Aloth, and we're just kind of, we have to go to Oaxaca to do that, which will move the story forward in a few different places. And I think I want to go to Crookspur first, so I think that's going to be our first destination. Let me see, who should I have with me? I think I should have Maia with me to go to Crookspur, but I just want to see. Okay, so Crookspur suggests we have Maia and Seraphine with us, so I am going to do both of them. Oh, wait, Maia wants to talk to us.
I feel like I should set the record straight.
Maia folds her arms and wraps her knuckles against her bicep. Is this about your mission?
Yeah. Been thinking about it a lot. I didn't get into this business so I could shoot first in a battle that hadn't even started, you know? I know the Ranganui wants to see results, but I never thought any of us would be complicit in something like assassination. We're shooting at people with dangerous ideas, and assuming the ideas will die with them.
I take it you never asked these sorts of questions while fighting with the Navy.
It's a little different when the enemy's ship is turning about, their cannons glinting like a spider's eyes. You don't find time for a lot of deep ethical discussions.
You sound ambivalent.
Yashiz is a good listener, but he's too dumb to offer much perspective. I could use some of yours right about now.
Maia gives you an inquisitive look. Between 1 and 3 here, I'm either going to say, I'm concerned that assassination sets the wrong precedent, or this is a hard path to defend. History won't be kind. I think I'm going to go with that one.
So we keep the long term in focus, sacrificing easy gains.
What? Nodding to herself, Maia seems less thoughtful and more resolved. She cracks her neck and rolls her shoulder, letting out a relieved sigh.
You could be right. If we let this sort of thing spin out of control, it won't do us any good in the long run. If we go Atsura's way, we had better be sure that killing the right people makes a difference. Damn sure. And if we fall back on what we know, cannons, sieges, occupation, we'd better commit to fighting a moving target. We won't succeed if we don't understand the tribes. And something tells me that we aren't there yet.
Both of these seem like I'm encouraging Rauatai's battle against the Huana. I'm just gonna say let's be off. I don't know if my response meant what I thought it meant. But it did at least seem like I was saying this is not a noble act that you just heard in. Alright, so gonna go pick up Seraphim. I need to drop. I guess I'll drop a dare. Kind of weird to drop a dare, but I want to have both Maia and Seraphim with me, and I want Allah spells and Shodi's healing. So where do I need to go? Wildmare.
Now, what can you see anything you like?
Up there, bring in Seraphim.
You in here with me feeling all maroon-like?
So. So weird, it just like stopped following me all of a sudden, and I can't hit the period button to... I have no idea why this is happening. First I want to get some supplies. I want to get some food. Yeah, okay, I want some tarloaf. And lager, I think. Yep, lager. And I'm going to sell a bunch of things, so I will skip over that. Okay, and now let's head over to Crookspur. Ruins of Roost. Oh. Oh, that's just because I found it. Think to see where the shark. Oh no. Okay, so I'm not going to go attack that.
by the luminous grows, people is invented, and so that's where our race it goes.
Okay.
Are you there? Psst. Love some. Chance a gander this way.
Trader with sunburner skin and straw-like hair loosely pinned into a tumbling rat's nest waves both hands eagerly in your line of sight. Glance in her direction. She cracks you a knowing smile and rocks back on her heels, waiting a heartbeat before she speaks. This close, you can see how her nose and cheeks are dashed with freckles. She turns her head to the side, and you get a good look at the puckered scar that curls from her right temple and down the corner of her lips.
Thought that might catch your attention. Now then, you must call me Seafolt. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, gent.
She thrusts a callous hand out for a shake.
Have a look-see. You won't find a grander market for your labour needs than Crookspur, nor finer illusion wares than mine.
What are illusion wares?
Lockpicks, noisemakers, chisels and crowbars, maps, compasses, hardtacks, spyglasses, potions of invisibility.
She takes the item off on her fingers.
You know, your typical basic expected survivalist gear.
She smiles sweetly, blinking wide in innocent eyes.
For the more courageous traveller. Now, if I were a wagering woman, I'd say Aeldys sent you to help me outfit just such travellers. Aye?
Huh. The trader sidles closer, glancing conspiratorially around before continuing a more hushed tone.
During my station here, I've spied signs of illegal activity.
What sort of illegal activity?
Slaves that oughtn't to be slaves.
Like, there are some people that should be?
Enslaving people of the Deadfire is illegal. It's the selling of slaves from elsewhere that isn't. If we could free the natives who've been detained before they're carted outside of the Deadfire, the illegal trade would be exposed, weakening the entire trade. Should you feel so inclined to help, know that my captain would personally see you compensated.
The trader tugs the collar of her tunic aside enough to flash you the bright glint of her swollen head, one which bears the insignia of Captain Aeldys. Why does Aeldys care about any of this? None of the principes sworn to her have been enslaved, have they? I'm not going to say that. She care. I'll do what I can.
You'll find the natives, the illegal stock, deep within the fortress, kept from sight. There's routes to the inside, but most stand heavily guarded.
I do like this idea. I still want to kill whoever the Royal Deadfire Company wanted me to kill. I forget the name. But this seems like a good idea to also expose the dealings of Crookspur. I mean, I think it should be illegal to begin with, but if the Deadfire finds out that they are doing things that are actually illegal, then that will also disrupt the trade a little bit more. So I do like that idea.
You may have better luck sneaking in through the sea caverns dotting the shore. One of them leads into the fortress. I've got a skiff ready for the slaves you send out. We'll make fast for Deadlight.
She winks, flirting with the thought of a dangerous getaway.
After that, who but Andra knows? Maybe I'll see you around Dunnage.
Okay.
Care to have a look? Right away.
At the helm of a falcon here. A lavish piece of armor bears the maker's mark for the Imperial Forge of Aeldys. It was most likely worn by the Fairconing's elite palace guard, the Reiktanki. These gallant warriors have protected members of the royal court since before the time of the Empire. In the earliest incarnation, the Reiktanki carried spear and shield, while the modern guards now wield shining greatswords. They can be recognized by their famous heraldic half-capes and gleaming winged helms. That gives you 15% of incoming hits converted to grazes from ranged weapons and minus 10% recovery time with two-handed melee weapons. Give that to Seraphim. I think he'd look funny with it at the very least. But he's got a... What happened? He also got Grave Call... Oh, there it is. Patented Plate. +4 armor rating, +1 armor rating against melee attacks. Its bulky armor is of ancient Adarian manufacture. Many Made of layers upon layers of bronze, it's heavy and cumbersome, though the protection it provides is comparable to that of iron. When struck, the bronze reverberates like a bell, transferring vibrations to the attacker. And then Grave Calling, a one-handed saber. This sword is one of two blades once wielded by Dieter Phaedrod, the famous dungeoneer and treasure hunter. He pried it from the skeletal hands of a long-dead king, and found it suitable for heading off hordes of undead he so frequently encountered. The air cools noticeably when the saber is drawn, seeming to pull the breath from anybody nearby. I don't want to buy either of those. I want to get some flint and tinder, though. Lockpicks. More flint and tinder, rope and grappling hook. Jacks. Okay. Oh, there's Seafull.
What'll it be, gent?
What can you tell me about this place?
You mean aside from the bit about Crookspur being the capital of slave commerce in the Deadfire? Buyers sell from far and wide to bid on the particular slaves here, which is why you find me now selling my particular wares.
You must make a fine profit off kith trafficking. Seafull clenches her fist by her side. When she scowls at you, her scar blanches starkly against her skin.
Swabby, I don't make the laws.
He traces the scar, snaking her right cheek.
I simply work around them.
That's all I needed to know.
Oh, aye. As you wish, lovesome. What'll it be, Jen? Sure.
I'll take a look at your stock.
Real quiet like.
Gonna pick up some rope and grappling hooks, lockpicks, pry bar, scripted interaction stuff. Oh, I got this helmet too. Let's give it to Seraphim. Looking good, Seraphim. Alright, let's see what else Crookspur has to offer. Drawbridge or something up here.
You there, approaching.
The guard sneers, fat lips peeling back from his yellow teeth. He grunts, muscles flex and pop in a thick-set neck as he cranes for a better look at you.
You are late. The auction is almost over.
Then hurry and let me through.
If anyone is to hurry, it should be you. I grow tired of opening and closing the gate.
His chest heaves as he cranks the winch to raise the heavy grating.
Take care that I do not drop it as you walk beneath.
No, my kitty cat. Phew, she's okay.
We continue now, cliente. Phenoma. At last we reach the culmination of our lot today.
A stiff-backed woman gestures widely with her arms, gathering the crowd a hair closer. Excitement simmers in buzzing voices and the low rattle of raffia hand fans. Anticipation hangs in the air. Then, with a flick of her prim wrist, she hastens the final slave to step forward. He's a strapping, ugly-faced Mistborn, chains in the planks of the stage rattling with each of his heavy steps. Looks like a death godlike.
Feast your eyes on a fruit most rare.
The auctioneer's lips curl in a cruel smile.
Bellico. We'll open the bidding at 800 pies. 800 pies, 800 right here, and 850. Who'll give me 850, 875, I'm at 875.
She points to the various bidders who raise their numbered fans, never pausing in her lilting chant.
What a putrid thing.
The words are cutting, but the buyer's fan snaps up eagerly.
We've got 875 and now 900. Who will bid us 900?
The auctioneer sweeps her hand over the crowd, searching for the next price jump. A long, low growl raises from Seraphin, and his scarred lip curls over his crooked teeth. His blue fur bristles as his head shifts forward, one ear low, the other twitching.
Be feasting your eyes on these bare-polled, scurvy-wilted curs, throwing copper down for flesh. Don't suppose we'd be here to send their souls back to your pale-armored mistress.
So, I think I do want to bid here, not because I want to own a person, but hopefully we can, like, get him to work for us and actually pay him. So bid 900.
What in the name of Wild's hidden fiddly bits, Cap? You actually be bidding on folk?
Now we're at 950. Do I see 950? And I do. And we're up to 975. Where's my 975? There it is. And who'll give me 1,000?
So Seraphin's not
Unless
happy.
you be calling coin on account of some bit of clever you ain't made clear, Cap. Words be coming twixt us out of this.
Hopefully he's
Leave
clear
you
on why we're doing this once it happens. Bid
Do we have a
1100.
100? Do we have 150? Can I get 150?
Impatient now, the auctioneer waves a hand for the death god like to bow his head, presumably to showcase his recurved, gleaming horns. Instead, he stares at her, looking like he could spit venom. Your bid is matched and raised with a flick of a fan.
And now we've 11 150 to bid at number 63. 11 200. Do I have 3?
Too steep for my blood.
Number 24 shakes his head. Others in the crowd rumble their agreement.
I believe I'll mount those horns in the drawing room. What a fine statement they'd make.
The woman smiles eagerly, gloating.
Are you mad? They've medicinal value.
The words are choked with outrage, but the bidder doesn't rejoin with a counter.
11 150. Going once, going twice.
1200.
And now we've 11 200 to the bidder with no number. How odd. It's a delightful mystery, cliente. 11 200. Do I have 3?
The bidder eyes you with annoyance. Agitated, she taps her fan rapidly against her thigh, but ultimately refrains from raising
11
it.
200 pyres. Once, twice, sold to our mystery bidder. Gelarde, I do hope you possess the sufficient funds, for your sake as well as mine. Come here now. We will finalize the trade. Perfetto. Let us close this deal.
The auctioneer inclines her head to the shackled godlike.
You are a first-time buyer, Ak? For I do not recognize you as one of our usual patrons.
You sure you don't recognize me?
I could scarcely forget a face like yours, Aimoro.
She smirks, but it's tinged with appreciation.
Before the transfer is complete, you must speak with Master Kua. He awaits in his office in the fort.
So that's the guy we need to kill, the master here. Doesn't look like we can do anything with this person yet. Hopefully Seraphin forgives us. We're just buying him because I want to make sure he has a good life aboard our ship, or at least a life where he's paid for his work. So
Good day,
probably
my Lord Master.
a better way to say that. But I don't think I want to go up here yet. Seafold told us of another entrance, so let's see if we can find that entrance. So let's see if we can find this alternate entrance into Crookspur so that we can free these slaves before going to the captain here. Before you, a small cavern arrows into the rocky terrain beneath the fortress's crumbling stone base. The squat mouth of the cave sits within a wash of ocean water. Wade into the cave. Slosh into the water until the bottom abruptly drops out from beneath you, and a cold rush suffuses to your skin. The water is greener in the back of the cavern, dark and deep. A wave crashes into the cavern behind you, and as it recedes, a hard undertow sucks you back toward the shoreline. Swim deeper into the cave. You push against the current, making slow but steady headway. Swimming deeper into the cavern, you come to a set of tunnels, forked left and right. One tunnel leads to darkness, the other is marked by a faint glimmering of light. Both tunnels are completely submerged. Let's try out this darker tunnel. The tunnel's depths are so black you can't make out your hand in front of your own face, so you don't notice the dead end until your knuckles and palms have slapped against it. There's nowhere to go except back down the tunnel's length, all several long feet of it. Your movements have rocked the water around you, and just above you can make out the muted sound of waves lapping at the lip of the tunnel. There may be a sliver of a space for air. Might be nothing. Swim for the surface. Your nose bumps the rocky ceiling of the tunnel when you try to surface, but there's just enough space for you to gulp some air between your lips before an icy wave washes over your face. As you tread your arms to keep afloat, you realize your movements are making the water even choppier, soon closing up the space between the cave and the surface completely. Swim back to the fork. Following a deep breath, you plunge again under the water and swim hard for the fork. Swim into the brighter tunnel. Failure. Your group swims on and on. Deeper into the tunnel, no end in sight. Your lungs begin to strain, desperate for air, and your pulse pounds in the back of your throat. Dizziness assaults you. You emerge from the tunnel and break the surface of the water in a cavern deep beneath the fortress. Someone's probably wounded here, I would think. Nope. Wonder what that failure did. Thing.
Step lightly, lads and lasses.
Spiderweb's threads stubbornly stick to your fingers. Venom sac here. Want a cape. We're gonna be spiders. Yep.
Be careful.
Ha! You see that, Ishi?
We got a Crystal Eater Spider Queen and Crystal Eater Spiderlings.
I suppose it can't be helped.
Happy to oblige.
That's for my friends.
It's Audra dust, huh? These crystal eaters, that must be the crystals that they're eating. Let's see, I think those are the first crystal eater spiders we fought in this playthrough, so let's see if there is a bestiary entry for them. So it does have something I think I've read, because we ran into some desert spiders before. But this last part is about the crystal eaters. Seldom seen outside the most remote locations, the fabled crystal eaters are enormous and powerful, possessing magical abilities some wizards believe to have been developed through the consumption of Audra and enchanted gemstones. In addition to their ability to raise a field of deadly crystal spikes, the venom of a crystal eater will temporarily turn a victim's flesh and blood to stone. Subsequent attacks by the crystal eater on a petrified foe are quickly fatal. That did not happen to us. But yeah, I was right. Apparently they eat luminous Audra. And because of that, they are powerful.
Sure thing.
But that's also why we got the luminous Audra dust from their corpses. Fine scepter and some lockpicks. These bones have been picked clean. Dagger. Like, this must be like a separate way to get into this cave here. An iron gate blocks the passage before you. The gate is shut and locked tight. Its bars thick and evenly spaced. It's a corrosive spell in the metal. Ah, no one's got that. Pry the gate off its hinges with a pry bar. You tip the crowbar between the rock face and the metal bearing the far side of the gate, and with a hard shove, wedge the entire front grille off. It falls to the floor with a bone-juttering clang. Buttering.
Just a moment, please. It's no trouble.
And hide armor and a ruby. Back to the Crookspur dungeons down here. Water. Air supplies. Cannon shots into ale. It's a sea cave here, but there was another entrance to something here before we get to the dungeons. Crookspur Island. I'm gonna save it. I don't know if this is gonna come out in a bad place. Oh, it leads outside of the fort. Huh. Water. Let's just find some things here. The alien setters brought their burial traditions with them to the Deadfire, which include orderly graveyards like these. A tomb rises from the earth before you. Its stone exterior is well wrought and decorated with reliefs of Tenkloa and Ngati. It likely houses the body of someone important to a local Huana tribe. Special location. Zata shell strings. Greatsword. Garnets. Sigil of Darkness Wardstone. And a pendant glowing with a soft internal light. It is a dragon pendant. This amulet is crafted from the tooth of a juvenile dragon. It gives us +1 armor rating, +1 slash armor rating, and grants us Call of the Clutch, Call Worms, and a Drake to your aid, summoning them into battle. And a Breath of Flame spews a cone. Ooh. Like that. And that's it. I'm gonna go find that now. It's 2. I'm gonna keep this in Bjartra's inventory because it gives us +2 resolve, which we might want at some point, but I think this will be more useful right off the bat. I'm not gonna go to this yet. This looks like an actual destination. Here again. Weird. Apparently failure does nothing there. I wonder if maybe there's something that we can find.
Will my eyes be open?
Well, if you insist. There you go.
Just unlocked it. I didn't actually open it. Helm and a cinder bomb.
You there, stranger! Help us! We are not fit to be here.
A woman coated in dirt and flecking war paint waves her arm between the grimy cell's bars. Though weaponless and caged, wearing rags not fit for a pauper, she stands aggressively and has a muscular frame. It is obvious she is a warrior.
Come closer. That's it. Just a step more, little bird.
Closer. You gonna try and grab me or something? I'm just gonna do nothing. Teeth barred in a snarl, the warrior lunges forward. Her shoulder bangs loudly against the bars, certainly hard enough to leave a bruise, as her hand gropes for your throat. Her nails scrape at your skin, but she's just short of being able to grasp onto you.
Highly above. Damn it, wait!
listening.
Thank Andra's sweet tides.
Shoulders slacken with relief.
Forgive me, stranger, but you must help us. If you could, I mean.
Her hands grip the bars so tight the muscles in her arms bunch. She cants her head and her eyes study you with a mixture of suspicion and hope.
Who are you? A buyer, maybe? But down here? I haven't seen you before, so you don't work for the slavers.
Tell me anything about these dungeons.
So you really aren't one of Kua's. I only know the way we were brought in, but an escape that way wouldn't be easy. The guards have horns for triggering a lockdown.
You wouldn't happen to be a native of the Deadfire, would you?
I am Wahaki. The Deadfire is my homeland. And someday, I will kill these slavers for defiling it. Understand?
He retches at one of the bars, and while the metal doesn't bend, it groans long and low. So she's Wahaki, which is the tribe that we need to go to speak to next for Deadfire, and Juana asked us to do that. So it's true. Crookspur trades illegal slaves.
They do. Though the legalities scarcely matter. All kith have an inborn right to freedom, to survival. I would see these traders slaughtered for their overbearance. You've made it this far and haven't been skewered by an ogre. Yet. Perhaps you can free us. Me and the others are keeping tabs on their patrols. I know their schedules, and their weaknesses. We can handle ourselves if you can get us out of this cell.
If you fight and die here, it'd be in vain. You need to reunite with your tribe to protect them against the slavers.
The Wahaki are rarely beaten. Our captors carefully set an ambush against us. Even so, me and my hunters felled 12 of their men. They will not survive our retribution. I will personally take the Taskmaster's anchor and use it to rip out his entrails. Open the cell and witness the Wahaki's best warriors in action.
Know who has the keys?
The big dumb one. The Taskmaster. He stomps around near the stairs that will take us to the fort's upper floor.
So they're not just going to sneak out. They're going to try and fight things on their way out.
Happily.
Water flows crisp and clean.
I see a soul in the darkness. One ready for reap.
Merc berries. Earthy and bitter, these berries enhance alertness and decrease fatigue when consumed. They can also be dried, roasted, and steeped to make merc brew. Brews like coffee, I think.
Fear not. Darkness take you!
Is that a spell or was that a trap that we just set off?
Yeah! There's our thing! Lava beyond sick!
Oh, I'm here.
Lava beyond sick!
Guess that's not the ogre with the key.
Absolutely. I'll try my best. Hope that helps. Indeed, someone's ahead.
Taskmaster, that's who it is. He's casting spells. Let's go get him.
That were a beaut.
Getting the water.
That was about as useful as a bump on a pickle. Happy to oblige.
Key? Should need that. A crane-crested key. The slavers of Crookspur repurposed this key, whose handle resembles a crane spreading its wings over a symbol of Old Valia for their own ends.
Of course.
Blood congeals within the deep cuts that score these wooden boards. The Willbreaker, a unique morning star. This morning star was a favorite instrument of the pitiless ogre executioner of the Crookspur slave report. The executioner reveled in his job and routinely tormented captives with threats of death and mock executions. Nothing troubled him so much as the inevitable periodic slave uprisings. After putting down such a revolt, the slavers turned to him to execute the ringleaders to discourage future resistance from the chattel. The executioner was not known for killing his victims quickly or cleanly and preferred to break bones before administering the killing blow. Snuff. Bits of gore and blood-stained hair line the inside of this Iron Maiden. Tasty. Fine Warhammer. Jade, amber, and a hatchet. So I'm trying to see if I can clear out this dungeon before I start letting all of the enslaved people free.
Stand together!
Showing them the light.
Yeah! There's a walloping! As you wish.
Now you be right screwed.
It's a lot longer than I thought it would. Warhammer, some fine things. Ender. Blackwood log. It's a quest item. Blackwood trees are exceedingly rare. The corrupted trees are only found among the shadowy groves of the Minpugra. Normally harvested by the enigmatic Lorethrough raiders, these logs are used to craft some of the sturdiest hulls found within the Deadfire archipelago. Huh. So I wonder if that's something we can use to improve the hull of our boat. I just leveled up. Bluff. Me. Binding roots. Conjures roots from the ground underneath the target, causing them to become immobilized, and then I'll upgrade it too, so that it also adds nasty thorns that deal pierce and slash damage. is the auction courtyard where we have already been. One more room I want to go to. It's the Crookspur Fort. Alright, so I want to save here.
Shh. We're not supposed to talk with anyone. Who are you? An escaped slave? I don't want to get in trouble.
Run for it. There's a cavern in the stockroom that connects to the beach.
You're sure? What if it dead ends, or there's spiders, or we have to swim for it? I'm not a good swimmer.
There's a sailor on the beach, waiting. Her name's Seaful. She'll row to your safety.
I sure hope you're not lying. Thank you, kind stranger.
With a visible gulp, the freed slaves signal for the others to follow her. The straw pile reeks of urine.
Ahoy. Aye.
Swole. Alright, now let's talk to the Wahaki. Slaves have escaped. Sound the horns. No one leaves the fort unchecked. Uh-oh. The spear failed? What was I supposed to do? Let's see if the Wahaki are still here.
Ready to skin some slavers? I know I'm ready for revenge.
I'll kill the slavers while you run. I can personally ensure your tribe's safety.
If we don't slaughter every last slaver, my tribe will never be safe. Your offer is noble, but I can't entrust this task to another.
We fools can't tell when to fight and when to retreat.
I would rather die than risk awakening again in chains.
But your tribe, will they have the strength to survive as well?
There's wisdom in your words. If we are not to fight, then we must retreat. But we can't just walk out the way we were dragged in.
There's an underwater cavern in the basement. Take the brighter tunnel to reach the open sea.
Then that is the way we will go. The Mother Ocean will lead us safely home. Always. May Ondra protect you as well.
Right. I think now I'm to head up to Crookspur Fort. Oh. Cutscene, sorry. Slaves have escaped. Sound the horns. No one leaves the fort unchecked. Okay. I think we're gonna have to wait to see the fallout for the next session. Hopefully, these alarms don't mean that all of the escaped enslaved people are going to be captured or killed or something like that. But we'll have to wait to see until next session when we can hopefully kill some slavers and set some of the enslaved people free. So, thank you as always for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, clarifications, as always, I would love to hear from you, and I hope to see you next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.